Once India were bowled out for 188, it was a matter of when and not if India will go down. And it so happened that it's a 5-wicket loss for India. They lose the series at home against South Africa 4-1. We're going to talk a lot about it on the Outside View Live powered by Vespa and Aprilia. Before that, let's take a quick look at the SXR 160.
You're late.
Don't just live life, maxify it.
Back again on the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia. Let's dive down straight into the dissection of India's fourth loss in this 5-match ODI series. I have with me, as usual, Boria Majumdar and Cowan. Boria, starting with you. You had predicted 3-2 and you were generous in that. You expect India to, if they go down, you expect them to go 3-2 and not 4-1. Your first thought?
Yeah, I actually overestimated the ability of some of the players. I mean, I didn't know they were club level. I don't think they deserve to play for India. I think the selection committee has done a job which is bordering on rubbish. I don't think they are doing justice to their responsibilities as selectors. I think this is the Indian national team, and Neetu David, Mithu Mukherjee, Kalpana, Aarti Vaidya, each of them, the 5. We need to ask you questions because Indian national pride is at stake. If Shikha Pandey misses from this team and Monica Patel replaces Shikha Pandey, it's a joke. That is what it is. It is a joke. If Ekta Bisht doesn't feature in this side and Pratyusha gets a national call-up, she might have the talent. She bowls 3 balls in an over, 3 balls. And if you see her spell, except the first couple, every over there were 3 balls which are boundary balls. This is not my club level cricket going on. Huh? This is international cricket involving your Indian national team. This is a matter of pride. Where is the accountability? Where somebody has to own up. The moment Harmanpreet Kaur got injured, look at that bowling attack. Jhulan Goswami 3/4 ready because of the hand. That's why the catch dropped. You don't have an option. That's why you played her. Rajeshwari Gaikwad, sensational. After that, what? After that, 0. Did Dayalan Hemalata look to pick up wickets? Did Pratyusha look to pick up wickets? Did they even look like picking up wickets? And I mean, come on. If these people play for India, then I'm sorry, our women's cricket is in pretty bad shape. The talent pool must be negative, and that is not the case. Because if you take a look at your domestic cricket and some of the performances, I'm upset. I'll put it very mildly. The more these matches have gone on, Sudarshan, the more the selection howlers have come to the fore. So a suggestion, Saurav, who is a former captain of the very highest stature, Jai, who is administratively responsible. So Saurav and Jai need to sit down with Mithali and WV as captain and coach and the selection committee. There has to be a vision plan. You can lose, no problem, but look at the nature of performances. And then, yes, it is an aberration. You might say one-off. No, it's not a one-off. Every match deserves to be played here with heart, with pride. I need the BCCI, and it's a public plea. Saurav, Jai, WV, Mithali, and the selection committee need to sit down to formulate what is the way forward. At the moment, it is ad hoc. At the moment, it is wrong.
Very fair points, but do we kind of be so harsh because players are playing their first international games again? We've talked about the gap and
don't play your first international game after you're making a comeback after 12 months. When most of your 3 or 4 of your players, you are going to play a World Cup 1 year down the line, not even 1 year, 11 months down the line. You have a World Cup to play. This is an important series. You're making a comeback. Whole of the country is watching. There are sponsors. There's a brand building exercise. There is everybody who's glued into your television set to watch the women's game. And frankly, what about the players who are deserving? Ashika and Ekta, Tanya, Shefali, who are playing domestic cricket. What do you mean play? This is not an experimentation platform. International cricket is not experimentation. International cricket is about ruthlessness, about winning, about putting your best team forward. This is not a forum for experimentation.
Not a forum for experimentation indeed, but South Africa, despite all the main players not being available at various points, have emerged 4-1 victorious, Claire, and that's a very, very interesting result to have, especially heading into the T20Is, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, South Africa will now
they'll have all that confidence. But to go to Boria's point, it's quite interesting, because I almost want to say what India have. I don't want to say what they've done, but maybe what they have done in the last month almost reminds me a little bit of what South Africa did sort of 4 or 5 years ago. And South African women's cricket 4 or 5 years ago said, enough's enough. We want a vision. We want to be going somewhere. We need to start building a squad. And India have shown so much promise. I mean, literally, like if you ask most people, they're going to go, yes, England, yes, Australia. I mean, those are foregone conclusions. And India is the next best. India is there, but India was there probably just before COVID. Now they've fiddled with selection, and I'm not quite sure why. And we've heard experimentation and a whole lot of excuses and all that sort of thing. But the ladies haven't played cricket since November 2019, and they're supposed to be preparing for a World Cup. There is no experience. I totally agree with Boria. You cannot be experimenting now with people who need to play top-class cricket. Your best players have to be performing, and your best players have to be getting match practice. If you're wanting to experiment, and if you're wanting to give experience to the youngsters, then you need to say, well, how can we broaden our squad? Pull those players in. Give them net practice with the best players in India. But don't go and throw them in, because the last 3 ODIs, we saw how much Shikhar Pandey was missed. And I mean, that is just that's an easy thing to see. And yes, Julian didn't look great today. She didn't bowl her best. She didn't look comfortable. But why? She's obviously still carrying a niggle. And yes, it might be a small niggle on her hand. Fair enough. But she's still going to be a little bit weary. And you could just see she wasn't as settled as she normally is. And that's also unfair to put on a player when they're not feeling 100%. But you don't have any other options in your squad. You don't have anyone else to pull in and to throw the ball to. So, I thought, India probably have just sort of lost the plot slightly. And I think what Boria is saying is a great suggestion. And the best minds in ladies cricket in India need to get together and sort of see where they can go and how they can correct it. Because the core group of players have the skill sets to be very successful. And we've seen it. We've seen how dangerous they can be. So yes, but yeah, from a South African perspective, absolutely thrilled to go 4-1 and win the series 4-1. It is definitely not what I expected. I can remember the beginning of the one of the build-up shows we did, I kind of said, my heart was going 3-2 South Africa the whole way. My heart was there. My head was going 3-2 to India, just based on the fact that I thought at times the Indians would have more experience and a better skill set to their conditions. But I'm glad that I was proved wrong and that my heart did win, and my heart won with an extra game under our belt. So that's really good. And I'm really happy and thrilled and confident to see how the squad has grown and how the younger players have actually stepped up. And when the senior players have needed to step up, they have done so as well. And I think probably that's also what's leading to Boria's frustration, is because you can see some of the good things that have happened within the South African squad and have made them successful in this Indian series.
Yeah, let's discuss more about this experimentation, Boria, because experimentation is fine if it's kind of forward-looking, like we've seen with the Indian men's team. They are experimenting in a bid to play attacking cricket, much like England men's team. But here we are experimenting in the old-fashioned, not getting in youngsters like Shafali Verma, who are almost been there, done that in the T20 World Cup last year. Is that what kind of adds to the frustration or the anger of this series result?
Sudarshan, you have to be a little careful here. When we say experimentation, are you actually doing justice to the people you have picked? After this experience of this series, do you think Monica Patel has emerged stronger as a cricketer? Do you think Pratyusha Chellaru will emerge stronger as a cricketer? Or have their confidence been dented? And they will now ask introspective questions. Do we belong here? They will ask. If you get hit, like the way in a low-scoring game, how much did she go for? 8 overs, 51 or something like that, right?
Yes.
Something like that. So you are going at 7 an over when the asking rate is 3.5. So it's double. Now, when you ask yourself, by the way, cricket is the most individual of all team sports. Most individual. When Pratyusha goes to bed tonight, She is alone in her room. You think she will not ask these questions of her? So am I deserving? Will Monica Patel not feel this, that a Shikha Pandey is sitting out? Am I deserving? Have you done them any good by getting them in when they are not ready? Somebody needs to take accountability. And this is not their fault. They will obviously play because they have been selected to play for the tricolor. For God's sake, how many can? The fault is not theirs. The fault is deeper. Somebody needs to ask the selection committee, what is the logic? Shantadi is part of our Apex Council. Shantadi, Diana, people like that. Diana was part of the COA. Shubhangi, all of them, serious people. They need to ideate. Whether it is the Cricketers Association, whether it is Apex Council, people in positions of eminence, Saurav Jai, in administrative positions, need to come together and ask the selection committee, what is the vision? Ask the captain, what is the vision? The buck stops with Mithali Raj. The buck stops with W.V. Raman. If I know right, they will have to have a vision. 11 months, not even 11 now, 10 months down the line, you have a World Cup. Are you going to be proud of what you did here? And is your confidence, successfully high after this series? You may have lost it. You've lost the plot. You've lost the plot. You have lost the gains of the two finals. COVID dented your structure big time. You had a chance to make a comeback. All of a sudden, you are nowhere. Now think about Shikha Pandey. What is her mental makeup? So am I worse than Monica Patel and the rest that I'm bowling in domestic cricket? Will I feel frustrated and discriminated and, victimized? So think of what you've done. You have successfully divided a team, not the job of selection. I am sorry. And I'm frustrated because I want the welfare of Indian women's cricket.
But you'd imagine a Raman or a Mithali Raj would have had a say when they picked this.
I don't think they do. No. I mean, I will only speak up to a point and I won't after that. In India, the captain and the coach, the buck does stop with them, but do they have votes? Do they have real votes? No, I don't think so. I mean, can they really put their foot down? I have my doubts. And, that's a very important point you make. Mithali Raj needs to put her foot down. It is not about Mithali Raj, the player. She's achieved everything. It's about Mithali Raj, the captain. It is about taking this team forward. If WV has to carry this legacy forward, and I know WV very well, he's a tremendous thinker of the game. You've got to ask the teams that will give you World Cups, that will give you final, semi-final, and not bowl like this. Monica Patel running in full was bowling 90 miles and 90 kilometers. Come on. I mean, you can't replace Shikha Pandey. You're not ready. And that's no disrespect to you. It's just the harsh reality of our game. Pratusha was bowling half trackers. Nadine de Klerk rocking back, tuck, mid-wicket, square leg, back foot, offside punch, straight drives. You can't just feed South Africa winning momentum. So it was very, very disappointing and real questions need to be asked.
Yeah, fair points, those. And for those who are joining us right now, it's not a rant session, but it's the way the Indians have lost the 5 ODI series 4-1 at home against South Africa. So that's what the discussion is all about. Let's talk about the positives first for South Africa. Claire, that partnership between Mignon du Preez and Anneke Bosch would have really lifted spirits of the tourists, because they were in a spot of bothered at 3 for 27 with early strikes against spin. So good to see Anneke Bosch kind of improve her credentials against spin.
You're being very polite saying a spot of bother 27 for 3. I've got other words that I'd probably get into trouble with for saying where they were 27 for 3. So no, I mean, it wasn't a great start at all by South Africa, and I kind of expected it. When you're changing the opening batting sort of partnership, they've been so successful. Lots of questions for Wolfhard to ask herself how she's going to construct her innings. Sunayla's brilliant batsman. She's done really well, but often finds herself at number 3. So just a real change up and top of the order. So I wasn't surprised at all when we lost those first few wickets. And at the innings change, I said it wasn't going to be an easy chase. I just felt that 188 was going to push the South Africans, and losing a few wickets early on could put them into a bit of trouble. So I love the fact that we saw Mignon Dupree come together with Annika Bosch, and I think their partnership was 96 before Mignon went out. And I've really been impressed with Mignon over the series. If you look at her performances in the Pakistan series and then moving into the Indian series, she seems to quite, getting starts, and she's sort of floating around the 30s and the 40s and then isn't able to kick on. But now we've seen her get 2 consecutive 50s, so she's really, really batting phenomenally well. And the way she kind of nurtured Annika Bosch towards her maiden half century, I just think was fantastic. It was a difficult situation to come in for Annika Bosch when we were 3 wickets down. And it was important that we had that experience to help sort of nurture her and guide her through this tricky situation. And that would have given her so much confidence going forward. And going back to what Boria said, you take that situation and you kind of ask yourself, how has the Indian selection potentially destroyed the confidence with the young Indian bowlers? Because here we've had it work well because you're getting a balance. Okay, there's a Mignon, there's a Kapi. Even though we've got some of our experienced core players there's still experience around the youngsters to help them, guide them in these situations. But now there's no one to help Monica Patel, and you can't put all of that on Julian's shoulders. That's just unfair. That's just cruel. So it's quite interesting to see some of the mistakes made on the one side, but at the same time, those mistakes have been made in the past by South Africa, and you can see now they're reaping the benefits. And they have to say, the management team, Hilton, they've really done really well in terms of creating those opportunities for these youngsters so that they now can perform and sort of understand their ability. So I really was chuffed, and I'm not sure who got Lady of the Match, but I hope it went to Annika Bosch. She really did deserve it, getting 58. But another thing I just want to highlight in terms of an opportunity that I really felt India missed out on was, how many times do we see 1 wicket goes in a partnership, a 2nd wicket goes in a partnership? And we saw that. Mignon went, and then Annika went. Now, that's when you want your bowlers to be bowling good lines and lengths, making it really difficult to get the ball off the square and kind of building that sort of scoreboard pressure. Because the only way India really were going to win this was if they actually bowled South Africa out. And they needed to create that pressure through scoreboard pressure to help them get a couple of extra wickets. And, Nadine de Klerk hasn't played all that much in this ODI series. And so she would have felt the nerves coming out. South Africa should have won it. They wanted to win it. But now you suddenly come in and we've lost like a 96-run partnership. And now you suddenly have to now actually go and win the game for your country. And so that's where I thought there was a mistake. They needed to get their lines and lengths right. They needed to put pressure on the South African batsman. And that would have created the pressure to get a wicket. Boria, yes, over to you.
I think Claire has absolutely hit the nail on the head. I mean, more than the lines, if you see that Julian delivery, and believe me, I was itching when Julian came in 130 odd for 5, and I'm like, get Cup and we are through. And that first ball was a beautiful outswing edge, first slip gone. Both batters at 0. The only way you can win a cricket match is bowling that opposition team out when you have 186, 187. Get a slip in, go aggressive, because you will not defend. And that's what I'm telling you. Fundamentals have been wrong in this series. And that is something that I'm disappointed by. And if you see the second ball of that particular over, again outside off, again Karp missed it. Could have been an edge. First ball, perfect. Drew her forward, edge, Sushma Verma, first slip, regulation dolly. So that is where, and the next over, Julian dropped that. So that's what I'm trying to say, that the gains that have been made, somehow, somewhere, Harmanpreet Kaur was missed. Somewhere we have lost the plot in this series. And it is very, very important that the management and the board come together, because women's cricket is our pride. They've done better than our men. 2017 final, 2020 final. The men haven't. The men made the final of the Champions Trophy, but thereafter we lost in the semi-final of the World Cup. Our women have made 2 finals, for God's sake. So they are a better outfit. So if you have a team that is now deserving of a world title, nurture them like that, invest resources. We have it. Now we cannot lose the plot 10 months before a World Cup.
Fair point, those. We talked at length about the shortcomings of the side, Boria, but let me hear you lavish your praise on Rajeshwari Gaikwad's spell. Too good, yes.
I mean,
3 for 13, almost James Anderson-esque in test.
She was just, see, and again, she has evolved over the series, right? Experienced campaigner, has done well over a period of time. And it is also unfair on her when you bowl a 10, 13, 3 and you lose the game. You understand where I'm coming from? I would have wanted Rajeshwari Gaikwad to be on the winning side.
Yep.
After that spell, every time you need a wicket, they've thrown it to her. Even when that Mignon Dupree, cat, sort of that period, gone. Beautiful bowling, drew it for perfect line, excellent spell. But what is the value? Your team has lost. Virat Kohli's innings yesterday, magical. What is the value? 0. Because ultimately it's winner takes all in sport. However much you can shout saying I've scored a masterclass or she's bowled an absolute stellar spell, your team has lost. And that pains me. That pains me big time. Mitali's catch was great. Little things were great. India individually was good. Poonam Rao, Mitali Raj. You can ask about strike rate. Yes, could have been better. A Harmanpreet Kaur innings last game. A Rajeshwari Gaikwad spell this game. A Jhulan Goswami spell. Cumulatively, out of 11 players, if there are 3 weaklings now, Sudarshan, you will not. That's why it's a team sport. आपका 3 weak league था या 4, उसी पे आप खत्म हो गए. वो आप नहीं कर सकते हो. Going forward, you will have to ensure that even the backup to Jhulan, to Rajeshwari, to whoever, are of a certain standard. But Rajeshwari Gaikwad today, top class.
Yeah, you can laud individual efforts a lot, but it's ultimately the team effort that counts for and that takes the win. Claire, your thoughts on that spell by Rajeshwari? Because even South African, the set batters seem to be having problems playing her off, scoring runs off her. Mignon got out. Nadine de Klerk, in fact, it's good that she kind of saw that spell off. But your thoughts on overall how Rajeshwari bowled?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't put more adjectives to how Boria has explained it. I mean, it really was a superb sort of bowling spell. She was, let's be honest, she pretty much saved India, in my opinion, from an embarrassment potentially. South Africa could have won this by sort of 2-3 wickets with 20 overs to spare, to be very, very honest. She really did sort of manage to pin back the South African bowlers so much that you saw how respectful Mignon Dupree was. And it was almost a case of Mignon was like, as good as I am against spin bowling. And Mignon Dupree is probably the best player of spin bowling in the South African sort of side. Was like, I can't take a risk in this situation. We came in, we were together, you and me, Annika, 27 for 3. And she is bowling fantastically. We are just going to knuckle down. We're going to see her off. And I think her economy rate was 1.3. She picked up 3 wickets. And we don't really care. Let's just keep her out. Because if she now picks up 5 or 6 wickets, game's done.
Absolutely correct.
So I think South Africa played her really well. But again, you go back to Boria's points. You can't have one of your bowlers doing that. Because when the other bowlers are going for 6.7, it doesn't help the situation, because that gives Mignon and Annika Bosch the option to go, well, we can close up shop here and let's see her out. They don't have to take risk against her because they can pick off the runs against other bowlers. And that's where, exactly as we've just said, it's a team sport. Because Rajeshwari could not win that game by herself. Like I said, Jhulan had the potential to maybe win the game for India. It's not going to be by herself. You need that bowling attack to help support. We're not going to say that they're all going to be taking 2 or 3 wickets, but the economy rate has to come down. The South African batsman can't go, oh, okay, we can shut up shop here, but we can pick on there, we can pick on there, we can pick on there, because that doesn't help the situation at all. But no, it was a fantastic spell of bowling. It was absolutely superb. Her control, her lines and her links were just absolutely remarkable. I mean, I can't sing more praises for her bowling today than we all have on this show so far.
Yeah, 188 placed, 189 for 5. South Africa winning by 5 wickets. Let's press pause here. Let's move to the Vespa. Know your player. Coming to you, Claire. Let's rekindle those memories of Test match cricket. We know India women are going to come back to playing Test cricket in a couple of months. Your thoughts about the Test match that you played, the first Test you played before the second one. So your thoughts about the first Test that you played.
Yeah, so it was back in 2003, and I was really lucky to get an opportunity. I've never hid my my lack of international experience, although I do feel I've had a huge amount of domestic experience, and I've just got a passion for cricket, so I watch a lot of it. But it was back in 2003, and it was we toured to England, and it was an incredibly long tour. And back then, South Africa hadn't done many tours, and we were sort of given a phone call and said, well, you're going to England for 5 weeks. And it was kind of like, sorry, what do you mean 5 weeks? It was just quite a bizarre situation. And now you see the ladies, they're so used to it. Obviously they're not playing as much Test cricket, so the tours are slightly shorter, but still, no, it was a fantastic experience. The first Test in Shenley, and then the second one we went to Taunton in August. And what I'll never forget about it is it was probably the hottest sort of summer that England had seen in something like 55 years. And I mean, as South Africans, we are used to the heat, but the kind of the English hotel rooms and the conditions that we were in, they're not just designed for, I mean, we were playing cricket in like 32, 35 degrees heat. And at night, we were coming up with all these weird and wonderful tricks to soak towels in water and then lie them on our beds with fans directly on us to try and cool us and get us to have a good night's sleep before you were playing a Test match. It was absolutely quite bizarre. But one of the standouts is from that first Test match against England. And, we were playing against Charlotte Edwards, Claire Connor, Claire Taylor. Claire Taylor made us chase leather. I think she ended up scoring 177. I think it might have been her highest Test match innings, but I'll never forget that. She made us chase a lot of leather. But when we went out in that first Test, there were 5 of us that got ODI caps that day. And that just kind of showed the inexperience of us South Africans touring England and arriving in heat and not understanding what 5 weeks away from home means and all that sort of thing. But it was a fantastic experience. I loved every single moment of it. And I think for me, it's playing cricket in England is something special because I think I've never toured to India, unfortunately, and hopefully one day I do get there to watch some cricket. But just the love for the game and the kind of attention to detail that the English supporters sort of apply to when they're watching the game is just absolutely fantastic. And we could walk around the field and engage with some of the supporters, and the comments that they make, and it wasn't horrible things. It was like technical. You could have really good technical discussions about what you were doing out there or why you were doing it or field placings. And that was also one of the things that really I took away from the tour, just that absolute love that the English have for the game and the attention to detail that they apply when they watch it.
It's really creditable that South Africa drew that Test despite having 5 debutants. Right then, let's come back to this final ODI between India and South Africa. Remember, India have gone down 4-1 in the 5-match series. A 5-wicket loss today. There was a lot of heat up front when we started the show because deservedly so, there were questions asked. They had to be answered. But let's switch on the air cons everywhere and let's go to a fun segment. We call it the Aprilia performer of the match. Boria has a smile on his face. Who does he pick for this match?
In sport, you always go for the winner. I would have gone for Rajeshwari Gaikwad. But I hate that term gallant loser. It means you lose more. So that is why I will go for Annika Bosch. When you see a young player, young woman, star like that, winning her team a series 4-1, I will go for her. And I was smiling because I absolutely can identify with Claire's comment about English hotels. They don't even know how to have air cons. They still don't. My theory about British imperialism is very simple. With that weather and with that food, what else could they do but conquer the world? You can't live in that country. I've lived in that country for years, but believe me, for half the year, you don't see the sun. And for the rest of the half the year, when you have summer, 35 degrees, you don't even have air cons. God's sake. And then you have that food. That is why you have curry as your national dish.
Lovely way to sum that up. But Claire, your picks for the Aprilia performer of the match?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't go with anyone else other than Annika Bosch. Never mind her batting performance. I think really she's starting to show some very good maturity with her bowling. And we need to be honest, she's not the quickest bowler out there, but she's really starting to understand how she needs to bowl to keep her economy rates down. And she's not going to be one who's going to go off and pick, 3 or 4 wickets. She's not going to devastate the batting lineup. But she has a very, very important role to play there as that number 5, 6 bowler to help shepherd, to give the South African team options within their bowling attack. And I thought today she kind of really just encapsulated a really good ODI series performance from her side, and deserved sort of lady of the match. Absolutely.
Yeah, Annika Bosch is the pick from this panel. There was very few yay moments for India as far as this match was concerned. A lot for South Africa, a lot of nays for India. What are your picks in that department, Claire? Yay or nay moments?
Sure, it's a tough one. I don't want to make too many enemies, but I think my nay moment in general would just be the Indian selection. I'm just not quite sure, where they're going with it and what they're trying to do. And I almost feel desperately sorry for Mitali Raj to be having that pressure on her to produce results. But yet the 11 that she's getting given there's so many questions and just so many other options that you feel could come in and do a much better job. So for me, and I'm kind of overall giving you a nay, also from a series perspective, I think, because I think that's caused a lot of nay moments if we look back at the ODI series. The yay moment, I'm going to give it to Mignon and Annika. Just that partnership. We were in huge trouble at 27 for 3. And that's why I said this was a difficult chase. So the fact that they came together and they put a 96-run partnership together was just fantastic. And they literally did get us over the line today.
Yeah, the devil inside me made me go to Claire for this. Boria, what are your picks for the yay or nay moment from this game?
The yay moment, I will actually go with Women's Cricket Zone. To do 3 shows a day for the 5 games with the consistency and the commitment and the passion you guys have shown is important going forward for the women's game. I just hope the selectors were as consistent. I hope they would have taken a leave out of this. And the yay moment, that is my yay moment, and the nay moment has to be the selection. We've made a hash of an opportunity. But having said that, life is about mistakes. Have we made mistakes? Of course, I make mistakes every day. So no question. But life also gives you an opportunity to rectify. Okay, so let's hope that India rectifies those mistakes and does so as quickly as possible. I hope Harman's injury is not serious. I hope Julan recovers fast. I hope with the IPL T20 challenge coming, all of these girls get to play, because it's important to be playing in front of a large television audience, money. So for the brand of Indian women's cricket, this series has been a nay moment. It was on a skyrocketing high. They were on an elevator. They have all of a sudden gone back to stairs. Okay, so I hope that gets rectified. But Women's Cricket Zone, you guys are champions. So the yay is for you all.
Lovely words to kind of end this edition of the Outside View Live, powered by Aprilia and Vespa. Remember, the series is not done. It's the ODI legs that have been done and dusted. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, we'll be back live with the review of the ODIs, and next then the preview of the T20Is. Do keep an eye on the social media channels for the timing. We'll have these lovely people throughout the T20Is as well. 3 more T20Is to go. Lots of cricket action coming your way. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for watching the Outside View Live, powered by Vespa and Aprilia.
Your lead.
Don't just live life.